We know that there's lots of sensors around the vehicle to make it do lots of different things, you know, lane keeping and distance and blind spot monitoring and so on and so forth.
Sure.
Those are handy dandy little features to have. Airbags were first.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Airing of Grievances. I'm Eric Reamer. That's Robert Grieve. And, of course, we are always thankful to have you join us. We know that your time is valuable, and it means so much to us that you take your time to join us for these episodes. Today, we've got a really important one for you, and we want to encourage you to stay through all the way to the end of the video. That helps YouTube know that you're interested in what we're talking about. And this is a matter of safety that we're going to address. But before we do any of that, first things first, make sure you subscribe to the channel. That's something that always helps us and others get to see this information. Second of all, if you haven't done it yet, click the thumbs up button right now. That's a good thing to do. We're grateful for it. Rob, happy Saturday to you.
To you, my dear friends, happy Saturday to you. Thanks so much for tuning in. All your lively comments and chatting and makes it for a great Saturday morning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So, Rob, I kind of teed it up. We're going to talk about a matter of safety.
Yeah.
In this.
Yep. And yeah, I think what we ought to do is just roll that videotape real quick one time.
Here it is.
3, 2, 1.
Wow. Describe for us what we just witnessed.
You just saw the side curtain airbag being deployed. Now, in that picture, you know, the guts of the car are out of it and stuff like that because we need to replace that. And in order to replace it, you need to deploy it.
Sure.
But for the purpose of seeing because you probably haven't seen what an airbag looks like, side airbag curtain, I figured we'd show you what a side curtain airbag deploying looks like.
Yes.
And we hope that you never have to see that.
Right.
And you never have to use that. But they're there for a reason.
Yes, they are.
When you need them to work, you need them to work.
Absolutely. And there's some parts that are necessary in order to make sure that these deploy on time.
Yep.
In order to provide the life-saving help that they provide.
Yeah. So we're going to give a big shout out to my dear friend Rob Wagner from Pennsylvania, who, by virtue of posting this in Facebook, gave me something that I thought was important to share.
Okay.
And it's actually even more important than what we know. What we're talking about, and thank you again, Rob, for bringing this up, is a peripheral pressure sensor.
Mm.
So the sensor that is for side impacts is located inside the front door.
And this is the sensor that actually causes the actuation of the airbags themselves. Yeah?
Curtain airbags.
Curtain airbags.
Curtain airbags. But these systems are so complex, it may need the curtains and the fronts. You know,
Sure.
All depends on you know, how the damage is occurring.
Understood.
For instance, scooch over just a little bit.
Okay.
Right there.
Yeah.
See, you can see down there is a bright orange Toyota.
That one right there. Got it. Okay.
The side curtain airbags deployed on that.
Oh.
Although there was really no impact. Why did that happen? You know me, I'm always curious.
Sherlock Holmes.
And only the side airbags deployed, not driver or passenger front airbags.
Okay.
Or bolster airbags. There's airbags everywhere. Why did they deploy? Well, they deployed because the vehicle thought it was going to roll over. And there's another sensor in there that has a tipping point, and when it gets to a certain spot, it says a rollover could be imminent, hit the bags.
Wow.
I mean, these vehicles are very complex in these things, and you want them to work the way they're supposed to work.
Absolutely.
In that particular case, the vehicle did not roll over, but it was real close. She went just going up 70 in the mountains.
That's an interstate here in Colorado.
And in the snow, and somebody cut her off, and rather than go off the cliff side of it, she went on to the mountain side of it, and the thing went like this, and it was enough to say, you know what, let's deploy the airbags here.
Wow.
So, you know, these airbag systems are really important. These particular sensors that Rob brought to everybody's attention, which you're going to love this, Rob, did a little research on this side. So thank you for that again this morning. These peripheral pressure sensors, let's talk about it. Unlike the front of the vehicle, the side has limited crumple zones. So crumple zones are formations in the metal that are meant to crumple
Buckle.
to take energy off passengers.
Right.
So they're limited on the side compared to what you would have in the front or the back.
Sure.
To ensure enough time for the activation of the restraint system following an impact, restraint system is your SRS, supplemental restraint system, or airbags. To ensure enough time for the activation of the restraint system following an impact, the airbag control unit must decide in less than 5 milliseconds whether a deployment is required based on the type and severity of the crash.
It's 5/1000th of a second.
Yes. The pressure sensors, peripheral pressure sensors, they work off of like a door collapsing and building up pressure in the door.
Okay.
And that's what sends them off, as opposed to the sensors that are in the front and the rear of the vehicle. They act a little bit differently. And then there's other sensors, could be in the A-pillar, or there's several places.
Okay.
And they're all designed to operate in a particular way.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. What in the particular car that we're talking about here is a 2020 Subaru, and in the procedures, it says when side impact sensor front door is removed, always replace the side impact sensor front door with a new part. If it is reused, sealing capability on the contacting surface of the door panel may be insufficient and impact pressure may not be detected correctly.
That's straight from Subaru.
Yeah, that's right out of the manual.
All right.
So, that being said, if that sensor is removed from the door,
Right.
why would you remove it from the door? If you're replacing the door, it would get removed.
Sure.
It may be if you're putting a used door on, you may want to paint the inside of the door to match so nobody can see that it's a used door, and you would undo all the hardware. That would be undoing it. In Toyota's case, they have these pressure sensors also. They want you to remove them just because if you're blowing dust off with an air blower, that can make the thing deploy,
Wow.
causing very serious injury, especially if you're sitting on the seat,
Right.
just blowing the door off with a air blower, and all of a sudden, out the side comes the airbag.
Yeah.
You know, it could kill you. If you want that airbag to go off, you want it to go off. This thing is clearly saying that if you remove it from the door, it has to be replaced with a new one. I think that's clear enough.
Sounds pretty straightforward to me.
So we did a little homework. And I had Matt, thank you so much, Matt, one of my rock stars, not only a wonderful repair planner, but a Lexus Master Repair Planner,
Okay.
Master Certified. So thank you for that, Matt, also. I asked him to call the Subaru dealer and ask how many of these pressure sensors have they sold. And this is a very large Subaru dealer that supplies a lot of parts for the collision industry,
All right.
not just a regular everyday Subaru dealer.
Okay.
They do a large wholesale business. So he said, I've sold 3 in the last 2 years. So I'm thinking, that's interesting.
Is it possible that there's only been 3 door replacements or side-on collisions or tilt?
I don't know how else to quantify it other than to ask that same gentleman, how many doors did you sell?
Oh, yeah, that would help.
And that's another Matt idea. He says, as long as we're getting that information, let's find out how many doors have been replaced.
Okay.
At least 2 a month for the last 3 years.
Well, that's more than
He might have sent 2 a week, but regardless,
that's more than 3.
yeah, it might have been 2 a week. So what does that mean to you, the consumer? It means either there's an incredible lack of knowledge out there of what needs to be done to keep you and your family safe. On the repair side of things, so the shop that you choose to bring it to, or it could be potentially insurers saying that's not necessary. Because they would look at what we read there,
Yeah.
and they would say, well, that's just a recommendation, and we don't feel like that needs to be done. And many shops would say, oh, okay.
Wow.
That does happen. And if you're a shop and think that happens or doesn't happen, go ahead and chime right in.
Yeah, please leave a comment below, or if you're joining us during the chat, by all means, we're chatting you up as well.
Yeah, so we know that there's lots of sensors around the vehicle to make it do lots of different things, lane keeping and distance and blind spot monitoring and so on and so forth.
Sure.
Those are handy dandy little features to have. Airbags were first. And airbags have become more and more complex, and the science that has gone into them has become rigorous.
Yes.
And they think, that system thinks faster with all the information those monitors are getting than we can think.
Of course.
And so that's why there's no switch to just hit the button for airbags because you think you need them.
Right.
The car knows. The car knows. And it's important to you, a consumer, that you're taking it to some place that will do the research necessary. There are cars, and we researched a bunch of different cars, and 18, 19, 20, 21 model years, 22, 23, they all had that pressure sensor. But then you go back a year, it didn't have it. But you go back 2 years to maybe 18, and it does have it again. So you can't rely on your knowledge. You have to rely on the procedures. And this is something that you must insist from your shop, that they are looking up the procedures to fix your car properly.
Yeah.
And they can change all the time. And not every model is the same as the next. And the switch may look the same, but guess what? We found several different part numbers for these switches depending on the model year and the make.
Which could
The model, I should say.
affect the deployment time.
All this stuff is critically important,
Yeah.
and it's important for you to find a shop that really knows what needs to be done with your car to keep you and your passengers safe. Keep in mind, that curtain airbag isn't only on the driver's side. It's
Right.
on the passenger side, too.
Right.
And they're important items. They're there for your safety. And we thank the manufacturers for the effort they put into keeping us safe.
Absolutely.
But Rob, this was an excellent subject, and you had my my attention this morning at 5:30 in the morning when I'm going through my routine here, and thank you for that. We decided to look into it a little bit further. It's staggering the amount of doors that are sold versus the amount of sensors that are sold that should be replaced at the same time. I even think that the dealer learned something in this thing.
Yeah.
Like maybe, oh, you want a door, you need a sensor too.
You know, and we're talking about one dealership,
One.
geographic area in a whole country full of geographic areas and dealerships. And if our experience is the standard, if you will, we're in trouble. I mean, you're in trouble if you don't take this kind of stuff and information seriously.
Potentially. I mean, this stuff is all there to operate as designed and keep us safe.
Of course.
If it's off a few milliseconds, that could make a big difference.
Sure.
That could make a big difference. So that's what I have for today.
All right.
Hope you found it interesting and helpful. Choose your shop wisely.
Amen to that.
All right.
All right, Rob. Well, that's important, and we're grateful that that you took the time, that your friend took the time to.
Rob's a rock star, and he's a funny guy too.
You know, and he's got a name that rhymes with yours.
Yeah,
So,
kind
of. There you go. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so very much for watching. We appreciate you sharing this content. Again, if you haven't done it yet, go ahead and click that thumbs up. And we will see you again next week. But Rob, before we do,
Happy Saturday, my dear friends. Happy Saturday. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for making this possible.
Yeah.
Share and like. We appreciate you. We'll see you next Saturday. God bless.